Okay, we should be officially live. This is the first time streaming on a whole new streaming software, so hopefully everything is good. We've been having a lot of issues previously with other streaming softwares out there, so hopefully now it is a clean slate and we can move forward without any issues. But welcome to the stream, everyone. I hope you're all having a great day. We've got a lot to get into today. The US stock market is closed, so that is something to be aware of, but we all know that there's going to be volatility because Bitcoin just made a major move a couple of weeks ago, and we're still kind of just waiting for the dust to settle so that then we can have, you know, the next move. Are we going to be making another move down and maybe heading down to, you know, 50K or 40K, a number which a lot of people are referring to? That's where the 786 fib is on the macro fibs for Bitcoin. Or are we going to be having some form of counter trend rally where we have a nice move to the upside, maybe to 80K, and some are even saying we could have a counter trend rally all the way up to 100K. But yeah, just let me know if everything is running well with the stream. I went live yesterday and my mic was cutting in and out the whole time, and no one was telling me that there were any issues. So hopefully this time it's working well. I trust you guys to actually keep me posted on the stream. But yeah, let's get into it. So Bitcoin 68,000 right now, kind of on the dot. We're not really seeing anything too crazy at the moment for Bitcoin. It is a holiday in the US, so it's not surprising that that the stock market, it's not surprising that Bitcoin, you know, isn't moving too much today, as it is a holiday, like I said. But yeah, we're kind of just flat, still undecided on where we're heading. And a lot of people are seeing different things. People are saying the volume's low. Okay. There's going to be some teething issues, okay? Because this is a whole new thing. So there may be some teething issues. People are saying the volume's low. It's the highest it can possibly go. Wait, give me 1 second. Maybe that's better. I don't know. But just please, guys, let me know if there's any issues. That's what I really want from you guys this stream, is if there is any issues, let me know. I don't want to stream for a whole hour and the microphone is cutting in and out the whole time, because that's what was happening on the last stream. But I'm streaming with a new camera, new setup and everything. So just keep me updated. Okay. Anyway, Bitcoin is still in this kind of undecided bit of price action. We haven't necessarily had that move up yet, and we haven't had that move down. We're still maybe waiting for the stock market tomorrow. We get some data coming in as well this week. So let's just take a look at the data we've got coming in. So this is Forex Factory. This is what I personally use to kind of keep track of the US data. So if we just go onto Forex Factory here and we select the US, we can see obviously holiday today. FOMC minutes will be coming out on Wednesday. That'll be pretty important. Thursday we have unemployment claims, and then Friday we have some manufacturing data, PCE, and advanced GDP quarter over quarter. So we've got some data coming in this week. But yeah, like I said, it's a holiday in the US today, so it's not a major surprise that Bitcoin isn't making any crazy move. But there's different ways to see this bit of price action here. Okay, there's different ways. Some people see it as a bit of a triangle. They're seeing it as compression, and therefore maybe, you know, could go either way. Not necessarily super bullish, not necessarily super bearish. Other people are seeing it as an Adam and Eve pattern. And then some people are seeing it as an M pattern as well. So you've got loads of different scenarios here with this bit of price action. we had the weekly close come in as well. I just want to go over that before I get into the chat. The weekly close for Bitcoin came in slightly lower than I would have wanted. Okay, I was telling you guys on the previous live stream that I wanted to see a weekly close green. I wanted to see a green close because we had 1, 2, 3, 4 consecutive red candles. Ideally, we could have, changed that to being a green candle, but it is what it is. We had another negative close. And what's interesting, guys, if we go and look at Bitcoin returns month over month, like, we've got historically negative price action here, guys. Like, this is historically bearish. Not only did we have all 3 months towards the end of the year all red, for this only second time that's ever happened, having all 3 months all red at the end of the year, but we've also had a red January and February for the first ever time. Unless February closes green, which seems highly unlikely at the moment, it seems like we're going to have the first ever 2 consecutive red months to begin the year. So very bearish across the board, right? So I was hoping at least maybe we get a green candle after one of the worst weeks in crypto in a long time. I was hoping maybe we get a green candle rather, to actually go ahead and close the week, but it wasn't to be. And the close wasn't as bullish as I would have hoped. I was hoping for at least 69K, ideally 74K. If we really want to have some form of trend reversal, we want to get above $74,000 on a weekly close. Until that happens, we're still very much like in this downtrend, and the bears still very much have control. So this is my kind of bottoming out range on Bitcoin in the red. It's not random, this range. It's got a very valid reason as to why that is my range. So we've got the 200-week moving average around $60,000. So that's the upper side of the range. And then we have the 786 towards the lower side of the range at $39,000. So this red range, I give a very high probability that Bitcoin finds a bottom somewhere in this range. Now, I know it's a big range. If I'm being completely transparent with you guys, I think it's more likely that we find a bottom towards the upper side of the range. Someone's saying the sound is coming through one headphone. Damn. Sound is coming from one headphone. I don't even know how to solve that. So, unfortunately, you might have to just deal with it. Unfortunately. Yeah, I don't know how to change that, to be honest. But yeah, this is my range for Bitcoin. If I'm being honest, I think we're probably going to bottom out most likely towards the higher side of the range, just because of how much price action we have in 2024 at those levels. And I think it's unlikely that we're going to go significantly below the 2024 lows. If we do that, that is insanely bearish, right? That would be considered quite a deep bear market, especially when you consider the fact that Bitcoin didn't have a blow off top. So if we didn't have a blow off top and we still get as deep of a bear market as usual, then that is a very bearish signal, right? Tim says, I have the same issue. Only one of my headphones is giving volume. Okay. Well, I apologize. I'll try and solve it for the next stream, but I honestly don't know. If anyone's like a streamer or anyone knows how to fix the one side of the earphone issue, please let me know. I'll try and get it solved, but unfortunately, that's just the way it's got to be for now. Andrew says, can you elaborate on your targets for XBL? 10 to 40x seems crazy to me. Well, bro, what you've got to realize is in a bull run, a 10 to 40x is nothing. Like, we saw Ethereum do, what was it, like a 40x in the last proper bull run when we had an actual blow off top. So you can see crazy gains in a bull run, guys. I think a lot of you guys weren't around maybe in 2021. So you're coming from a lens of like the last few years and you're thinking there's no way one of these coins can 10 to 40x. But the reality is that they can. They can do 10 to 40x's in a parabolic bull run. What you need is Bitcoin to actually make a blow off top move. That's what you need. You need a blow off top from Bitcoin. And that never happened in 2025. So that's why we had such a tamed altcoin season, is because we never got the blow off top. If we get the blow off top, then I absolutely think coins like Plasma, coins like Say, coins like Casper can do anywhere between a 10 to a 40x. If you get the blow off top, that is what's required. And every other cycle, Bitcoin has provided a blow off top other than this recent one. This is the only bull run where we never got a blow off top. And I was always telling everyone that I didn't expect the blow off top. My base case was always that we don't get the blow off top on Bitcoin in 2025. I was always expecting, a marginal high or some sort of tamed bull run. My target was always 117 to 130k Bitcoin. But next cycle, I do believe we'll get the blow off top. I think we'll get an incredible blow off top. So I'll just pull this up and I'll show you guys what I'm referring to. So you got the Bitcoin rainbow chart. Now this is kind of invalidated now because we never went to the top range this cycle. But this shows you the extent to which we had a very, very tamed bull market for Bitcoin. Still a bull market, don't get me wrong, but a very tamed bull market. Fire Down Under, appreciate the donation of $5. Says down 75% on render, tempted to convert everything over to Tau, but that's a big loss of money. My average on render is $5.40. I hope it will come back. Yeah, render should come back. I mean, render's a high quality crypto, so I would be surprised if it never makes a comeback. But you need diversification in your crypto portfolio. Like you should have, if you've got render, you should probably have Tau, because I don't think any crypto portfolio that includes AI that doesn't have Tau is complete. Okay? If you're going to have AI in your crypto portfolio, you need Tau. Otherwise, it's not a complete portfolio. So, yeah, render's fine. I like render. I think it will make a comeback. But you're going to have to do something about that because you're down 75%. Either you should buy more and lower your average, or, maybe think about getting a Tau position to hedge it or something like that. But I definitely think you should have Tau and not just render. But yeah, if you're down 75%, it hurts, right? You've bag held. You should have sold at the 50-week moving average, but that's all in the past now. But yeah, this is the Bitcoin rainbow chart. And the reason I'm showing you this isn't because I'm like this big rainbow chart fan or anything. The reason I'm showing you it is just to show you the level to which we really diminished in returns this bull market. So 2013, we went above the scale. 2017, we hit the maximum bubble territory. 2021, we got into, is it a bubble? Or FOMO intensifies we got to. So 2021, we got to FOMO intensifies, the third from highest. This time, guys, Bitcoin topped out. Bitcoin topped out in, is that accumulate territory? Like, it's ridiculous. Bitcoin topped out in the cheap territory. Either cheap or the accumulate territory. That's where Bitcoin topped out in 2025. So it just puts it into consideration like how much of a lackluster bull market we really had. How disappointing it really was. I always expected it to be like that for Bitcoin. But just because 2025 was disappointing does not mean the next bull run has to be so much of a disappointment. That for me is a logical fallacy that a lot of people are getting trapped by. This idea that just because 2025 wasn't great doesn't, just because 2025 was bad, every bull run's going to be bad now going forward. I don't buy that narrative. I think that's false. Okay, for the earphone listeners out there, can you let me know, is it still only in one earphone? Is that still happening? Wait, what if I do that? There we go. Maybe that should have fixed it. Earphone listeners, has that fixed it? Can you hear me in both ears now? I think I've just done a setting to change it. XBL's holding strong at 10 cents. Yeah, XBL's looking fine, honestly. XBL's looking fine. I'm actually super bullish on XBL. But yeah, let's just show you some examples, because someone was asking about like XBL and is it crazy that it could do a 10 or a 40x in a bull run? It's absolutely not crazy. XBL is a well-backed coin that ranks top 10 on on-chain metrics, but obviously isn't in the top 10 in terms of market cap. And let's just say it goes to the market cap of like Avalanche, okay? Can I even find Avalanche? Avalanche. Okay, let's not even do Avalanche. Let's just do Polkadot. Let's just say it goes to the market cap of Polkadot. That's a 254x to the all-time high of Polkadot. Now, I'm not saying for 1 second that that's going to happen, right? I'm not saying for 1 second that that's going to happen. But if it even does like a quarter of that, if it just does a quarter of Polkadot's 2021 all-time high market cap, you're talking 254 divided by 4, you're talking a 63x. If it does a quarter of Polkadot's all-time high. So that just puts it into perspective, like, how high altcoins can go. And when I'm using Polkadot, I'm not using Solana, I'm not using Cardano, I'm not using XRP, I'm not using Ethereum. I think it's a relatively fair comparison. If you want to be even more conservative, let's not even use Polkadot. Let's use something like XLM. XLM, that would be a 75x to XLM's all-time high market cap. Let's not even go with XLM. Let's try and think of one that's even more conservative than that. What's like a super conservative one that we could think of, maybe? Ondo? Should we do Ondo? Let's just do Ondo. 22x to Ondo's all-time high market cap. So this just puts it into perspective. Like, it's really not crazy to suggest that something like XBL could do a 10 to 40x. It's not crazy at all. You guys have just been plagued with recency bias because the last, couple of years for crypto has been very lackluster. So there's that kind of recency bias going on there. That's what's happening, I think. So don't allow recency bias to throw you off. You got to look at things objectively. And objectively, this was a very bad bull run. A very bad bull run. If you're looking at it from an objective standpoint, this is a huge disappointment of a bull run. So, we can even look at the fear and greed index, right? Fear and greed index. Let's see. So look at where Bitcoin topped out on the fear and greed index on the weekly. Bitcoin topped out not even in extreme greed. That's the first time ever that Bitcoin's topped out not in extreme greed. Or I guess here actually as well, but was that really the real top? Guys, was that the real top? Because for me, I think the actual euphoric top was this one. That second top was just kind of manipulation, right? The actual euphoric top was the 64K, not the 69K. But, you know, if you go back historically speaking, like, topping out in greed is quite rare for an asset like Bitcoin. So I'm just putting it into context for you guys. We had a very lackluster bull run, and you can't just be of this frame of mind that because this time was bad, every time is going to be bad. I actually think that if you look at some of these charts, like Ethereum and like BNB, when I zoom out and I look at these charts, does that not just make you super bullish? The fact that we've got these two all-time highs we rejected at the same point from 2021. You've got all that amped up kind of hype that's gonna come in once we surpass that high, right? Because it's been suppressed for so long. Once it really breaks out, like a legitimate breakout, not just another rejection of the all-time high, once it really breaks out, it's going to go crazy. And like Ethereum could actually go from $5,000 up to $10,000 within a month or two. That's the type of move it could pull. Some sort of silver kind of move. And Solana has the exact same chart. Massive double top from the previous bull run. In fact, it's a triple top or even quadruple top, depending on how many times you want to validate it being a top, right? The point I'm trying to make is that next bull run is going to be crazy because Solana's probably going to make a new high and Ethereum's going to make a new high. And once they actually enter full-on price discovery mode, they're going to have crazy blow-off tops, in my opinion. So, and Total 3 looks the exact same, by the way. Total 3, if you look at that, that's also a major double top or triple top. So, yeah, I'm super bullish for next bull run. I have very high expectations, but I never had high expectations of 2025, and I've been on record saying that. Michael says, I know you are bullish on Arrow, but how come you are not in it? You were all about it last year. What do I think will take it to $5? I'm super bullish on a lot of coins. It doesn't mean I have to hold them all, right? But I've explained countless times, if you've been watching the last few streams, the reasons why I don't hold Arrow. Now, don't get me wrong, it does look quite attractive. It's getting to a potential buy. But I've explained multiple times that for me, I'd rather park my money in the perp dexes as opposed to the traditional dexes right now. My priority would be to load up on something like Asta and load up on something like Hyperliquid. Even Avantis, I think, maybe is a great one to load up on. Now, I am getting quite bullish on Arrow when I look at the chart because it's basically come down to the same point and it is showing signs of support here. So if there is a time to buy Arrow, it's definitely right now, in my opinion, because like I said, it's clearly respecting that previous level. But yeah, I'm just more fond of the perp dexes. I really think that the perp dex narrative is going to come back around, and it's going to take a lot of money out of the traditional dexes. For those who don't know, the traditional dexes are obviously things like PancakeSwap, Uniswap, Aerodrome, whereas the perp dexes are ones where you can do futures on. So that's what I'm thinking. Fetcho says, do you see Bitcoin going higher in the short term, or do you think we go down from here? Well, it really just depends on like what kind of move we're about to pull here in terms of this triangle that I'm looking at. So you'll find out very soon, right? You're going to find out very shortly where Bitcoin's headed. But we seriously have to break above kind of like 71 to 72K. And then we've got 74K that we need to break above as well. So there's a good amount of resistance above us. But yeah, it doesn't really matter too much to me. Like, these are the buy levels. If we go down to retest the lows, it's not the end of the world, right? It's really not the end of the world. We'll just load up even more. But there is a scenario where Bitcoin could come down and hit the 200-week moving average, like to the T this time, and that would fill me with some confidence. And this is actually the potential bullish scenario for me. I know it sounds crazy suggesting that going lower would be bullish, but I'll explain to you why it would be bullish for us to go lower. So if Bitcoin can pull back to the 200-week moving average and actually hit it and confirm a hit, loads of buy orders will get triggered. That's one thing. Two, at that point, it's undisputable that we hit the 200-week moving average. There's not going to be anyone kind of arguing about whether it's classified as a hit or not. Because right now you have 50% of people saying, yep, that's basically a hit. We can count that. And then you have 50% of people saying, no, it's not a hit. We need to actually hit it to go up. So if we actually hit it, it gives that confirmation. Yes, we've hit it. It's then undeniable. But not only that, we could also create a bullish divergence on the RSI. And this is something I've talked about in some of the previous live streams, that quite often when you have these major dumps in a bear market, you end up creating a bullish divergence at the end of it. And that would be a really, really good thing. So what does a bullish divergence mean? It means price comes lower, but the RSI ends up higher than where it went to. So the RSI makes a higher low and price action makes a lower low. That is considered a bullish divergence, and usually when that type of thing happens, it marks bottoms quite often. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for. You know, I have an example here. So let's just zoom in. So this is back in April, during the April crash. Here's a perfect example of a bearish divergence, just so you guys can see, for those of you who are, you know, relatively new to TA or whatever. So you've got obviously a low here and then another low. And what you can see is that the RSI on the daily actually formed a higher low. So price action made a lower low, but the RSI, the strength index, made a higher low. That is signaling a loss of momentum for the sellers, okay? And then it's no coincidence that after that we made a massive move up. So quite often I'm kind of hoping that there's a bullish divergence. I'm hoping we go lower with these types of crashes, because it just increases the likelihood of actually a sustained move coming. That's what you want. You want that type of setup. Let's just check the bear market low. Let's go all the way down to 2022 and just check the bear market low and see if it did it then. Yep, so we have the first low here, and then the second low, the RSI ended up making a higher low. So that is what you want, guys. That is actually a bullish setup. That's a bullish scenario. It's for us to actually go down, make a slight lower low, go slightly lower, form a bullish div, and then bounce. And you can see this is the FTX crash here. You can see how brutal that was. And this might happen. I don't know the exact amount, guys, but I would say probably 8 or 9 times out of 10 when you have a very brutal dump, when you have a flash crash, you do end up retesting the lows again shortly after. It might be a week after, it might be a few weeks after, it might even be a couple months after. But you do end up retesting the low. And quite often I see it make a lower low from a flash crash. So you have the initial flash crash event, you come up a little bit, and then you end up making a lower low. I see that maybe 8 times out of 10 with flash crashes, especially on Bitcoin. And what you're hoping is that a bullish divergence will be formed, and then that way it gives a really good confirmation signal to the bulls to start buying back in. Because what you've got to realize, guys, a lot of people, they don't just buy the dips like us. Like, we buy the dips around the 200-week moving average. I'm not personally looking for a bottoming out structure. That will give me good confirmation, but I'm already buying, in the 60s because I just know those prices are cheap. So I'm not even waiting for a bottoming structure. But what a lot of investors do, they wait for the confirmation. They wait for the bottoming structure. They wait for the bullish divergence or whatever other bottoming signals they're looking for, and then they jump in. They don't try and catch a falling knife, right? They wait for the bottoming structure. Now, I personally am trying to catch a falling knife in a way, because that's been my strategy here. My strategy has always been to sell the 50-week moving average, which I did. Sold my whole portfolio at the 50-week. Let's just pull up the 50-week so everyone can see. So the blue line is the 50-week here. Sell the 50-week and buy around the 200. That was always my strategy. So I'm not going to deviate away from my strategy and say, no, we actually need to form a bottoming structure. I'm just sticking to the strategy. I sold at the 50, the remains of my portfolio, and I began accumulating when we got close to the 200. That's the strategy. It's that simple. But a lot of investors, like I said, they want to wait for that bottoming out structure. And that's why you will probably get a massive rally if we do go down and form a lower low and a bullish div. It'll be super bullish for the price action. Yeah, guys, I did want to talk a little bit about stocks. Thanks for reminding me, Brave. I did want to talk a little bit about stocks. Let me just do this. So, some of these software companies have had disastrous dumps. All right. Let's go through a few examples because this might actually be an opportunity for you guys. This might actually be a great opportunity for us to make money. Now, something's going on right now behind the scenes that a lot of people are not aware of. It's going on with AI. And it's all about Anthropic and Claude and the fact that basically we're having these advancements in AI that are going to really challenge a lot of software companies. Because you're going to be able to, basically anything you need, any speciality with tech is no longer going to be like a speciality. It's going to easily be done through just a simple AI application, right? So a lot of these AI companies that are doing a lot of these software companies rather, that are doing certain things, they have certain tasks, whether it's audio enhancement, whether it's editing, whether it's even an app like Duolingo, right? That's doing translation and stuff like that. A lot of them are coming under threat right now. And the shareholders are just selling them. They're dumping the hell out of them. And we can see this if we look at Adobe stock, for example. These software as a service companies are getting smashed. And we've been monitoring the downtrend on Adobe for a long time, but this is getting even worse every day I check it. It's now formed a lower low, even lower than the 2022 bear market levels. Another one is, what else? Duolingo. This is like a relatively new IPO. This one's crashing like hell. And this is all to do with AI, guys. This is what it's all to do with. So if you can find the companies that are crashing like crazy, that are actually going to stay around, the ones that will actually survive, if you can find those, you're going to make a ton of money here because they're all down like 70 or 80%, these companies. Oracle's another one. I mean, look at Oracle. How much is this one down? So just since September, Oracle's down about 60%. We're talking high cap stocks here. We're not talking like cryptos. These high cap stocks are dumping like cryptos. That's what's going on in the stock market right now with software companies. And a lot of people have actually said that there's some form of correlation between software stocks and crypto companies, right? Or cryptocurrencies, whatever you want to call them. And I found that really interesting. Someone kind of overlaid this software ETF with crypto, and man, the correlation was clear. And maybe it's to do with the same threats. I don't know. Crypto has had some concerns about quantum computing and how it could maybe hack a lot of the crypto wallets. AI software companies have had the threat from AI. So it seems like it's all happening very quickly in the tech space. And quite often these things are very short-lived. When you get these major sell-offs because of news and because of tech advancements, they're usually short-lived. I'm sure many of you guys remember when we had that major sell-off related to DeepSeek. When the DeepSeek situation happened, all the tech stocks crashed. It was short-lived. Most likely these things are. So I'm thinking some of these software companies might actually make a comeback here. The strong ones with high amounts of revenue and, high amounts of cash, they might actually make a comeback, and it could be a real good potential swing trade for whenever these have a counter trend rally, because they are getting dirt cheap now. 2.6x just at all-time highs for Oracle. Now guys, before I get into some more comments, I just want to tell you about Blowfin. This is the exchange which I personally use, and if you sign up to an account on Blowfin using the link down below, you can get some exclusive sign-up rewards and trading rewards. So check out that link. There's an exclusive campaign on my link that you won't get if you just search it yourself. So make sure to use that link in the description. Let me just check that it's actually in the description here. No, it's not. So let me add it to the description. Make sure you use my link. I'm about to add it now. It's in the pinned comment. So sign up to an account and you're going to potentially get quite good trading rewards that you won't otherwise get if you sign up using just a regular link. So it's potentially free money. And this is the exchange I trade on. It's the exchange I actually spot buy on as well. Spot buy Bitcoin on this exchange. I just really like the user interface of the exchange. And the great thing is that I personally like is that it's non-KYC. I hate KYC. Having to put your passport in and all your information. You don't need to do that with Blowfin. So that's another perk of the exchange. So links down below. I've just updated the description. But yeah, I'm seeing Bitcoin kind of in this compression range here. Whenever we get a breakout, we'll know where it's headed. But right now, it's kind of 50-50 in all honesty. Maybe we head up, go for 74K, even 80K. 80K is a potential level because 80K was the low that we formed during the first flash crash. $80,000. So maybe we go there. But yeah, we're going to get some form of a move either to a fresh new low, which could create that bullish divergence that I'm talking about, which would actually be bullish, or maybe we go for 74 to 80K. Either way, you guys know me. I'm accumulating on the dips. I'm accumulating on the red days, and I'll be telling my members whenever I'm buying. So definitely join the group. Man, Oracle, crazy dump on Oracle. Actually find it insane. Mr. J, no need to remove comments, man. I see you removed a few comments, bro. No need to do that, man. I don't know if you did it by mistake, but the guy's just bear posting, you know? It's fine. You're allowed to have your opinion, you know? If you disagree with me, it's fine. As long as people express their opinion with some degree of respect, then, you know, all opinions are tolerated on the stream. No need to remove anything. Ben Shaw says, Cowan says we won't get a bottom until Q3 or Q4. Okay. You know, people say all sorts of things. Now, Cowan does have a decent track record in recent years. But in previous cycles, he's had some kind of wild takes, okay? Super cycle theory and all stuff like that. So, I know it might come across as like stuck up or rude or whatever, but I don't care what anyone else says. I'm trusting my own analysis. And other influencers will understand this. I'm sure Ben understands it as well. He probably does the same thing. You have your own way of investing, and if it's tried and tested and it's worked in crypto, you stick to your own strategy. Okay? I've made multiple millions from crypto in my teenage years. So I'm just sticking to my plan that's worked. Until it stops working, then I'm not listening to anyone else. You know, not that I completely disregard their opinion, but it's just they have theirs and I have mine, and I'm sticking to my strategy and they can stick to their strategy. It's not that I'm like saying, you know, disregard him, put your hands in your ears or your fingers in your ears, you know? I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that I have my strategy. I know it's worked for me, which is sell at the 50-week moving average and buy around the 200-week moving average. It's worked for me. Now, yes, the 4-year cycle is an element. It's something to consider. Maybe we bottom out in Q4, because that's usually what always happens. But we've had a bear market within a few months. Like, the time it's took Bitcoin to go from the 50-week to the 200-week moving average is like the fastest I've ever seen it. Usually it takes almost a year to do that type of a move. And we've done it in a few months. So I'm open-minded. I'm of the belief that we could have an earlier bottom. And anyone who says that it has to be a certain date is just super naive. Eventually, these trends will be broken. Trends don't last forever, right? So anyone who says it has to be October, and they're adamant about it, that's just naive. Yes, it could be October, but you've also got to factor in some other things. That we've dumped very, very quickly, quicker than usual, and we've reached the 200-week moving average at a record speed. So does it not cross people's mind that maybe it's going to be an earlier bottom? And look, even if it's not an earlier bottom, there's a chance that a lot of altcoins end up bottoming before Bitcoin anyway. So if you're an altcoin investor like myself, you've got to go and look historically speaking and see that BNB and Ethereum, by the way, the two biggest altcoins, they both bottomed out in June. Ethereum and BNB both bottomed out in June. This is the Ethereum chart. BNB looks very similar in terms of when it bottomed. It bottomed out in June. So even if, let's just say hypothetically, Bitcoin does bottom out in Q4, it has a massive counter-trend rally in the next few months, up to 90K, up to 80K, then comes back down towards the end of the year and goes down to 50, let's just say. There's a chance a lot of high-quality altcoins form their low around now and not in Q4, because some of the alts have already reached complete capitulation and they are already down 80%, 90%, 95%. So to me, altcoins are very near to a bottom. Now, if we look at some of the big indexes, you'll get a better kind of picture of what I'm talking about. Let's take a look at the others chart. So others is in a major range. We can see that clearly depicted by this chart. It's respecting this support. For me, others is there or thereabouts, guys. The bottom is a lot closer on others than people think. Because others has also had time-based capitulation. Not just price-based capitulation, it certainly had that, but it's also had time-based capitulation. Others has already retraced to its 786 fib from the low to the high. It's already retraced to the 786 fib, which is usually indicative of a bottom. Well, we went slightly lower than the 786 in the last bear market, but then again, we went a lot higher in the last bear market as well. So when you go a lot higher, you can come lower a lot easier. But yeah, it went slightly lower than the 786 in the last bear market. This time around, maybe it just hits the 786, and that is the floor, which we've already done, guys. So, look, I'm open-minded. But either way, let me try and find that Bitcoin chart I had up earlier. Either way, we're almost at my major accumulation range, which is this big red box. And for me, whenever you see Bitcoin get into this box, you should be accumulating. So my average right now on Bitcoin, I think, is around 61,500 in terms of my recent buys. I had one buy order at 60K and one buy order at 65K. The one at 60K was a lot bigger than the one at 65K. So I think my average is around 61, 62K. You know, which is on the upper side of this box. If we end up going deeper into it, then I'll just keep stacking. But I said it earlier on in the stream, and I'll say it again. I think a lot of people are discounting how much support we have from 2024. You know, this box isn't random. Like, there's key levels within this box. I mean, we've got all this trading volume here from the first major high, 2021, all the trading volume here from the second major high in 2021, and then you've got all this kind of chop, all this range of 2024. And people think we're going to just easily break through all of this right now and go straight down to 20K. Like, are you mad? You know? That's not going to happen, guys. We're not going to just break through all of this straight away and go down to 20K. As much as some crypto YouTubers might be fudding everyone for clicks and stuff like that, the reality is we're not going to do that type of move. Even if we are going to go super low, let's just say we go down to 40, there's going to be a big counter trend rally first before we do that. Because this dump is not sustainable. So either way, there's going to be money to be made in the next few months on alts. Do I think AI agents will come back? Probably. But, you know, how are crypto AI agents going to compete with, like, these big ones that are funded by Amazon and Meta and Microsoft? Like, it's going to be very difficult. I mean, if you go and use Claude or ChatGPT, I know ChatGPT is not an AI agent necessarily. But if you go and use some of the ones that exist that are created by big tech, I mean, it's going to be hard to compete with these. Like, even the crypto chatbots, I don't know if you guys have seen some of them. They're nowhere near on the level of, like, ChatGPT or these chatbots. So, yeah, it might catch some hype, but I don't know if these are going to, you know, really compete at all. It's the same with, like, crypto gaming coins, right? Like, it's all just narrative. They're not actually competing. You know, because I used to cover gaming coins a lot on my channel, and sometimes people would go in the comments and say, These games are nowhere near as good as the games I play. And it's like, duh, obviously. Doesn't take a genius to know that, right? We're not investing in the quality of the games. We're investing in the hype. You know, maybe one day there's crypto games that are super, super high quality. And I think the closest we've got is maybe Guns. Guns is maybe the closest we've got to like a genuine game. But it's all about funding, right? These AI agents in crypto, they're going to need a lot of funding to compete with the likes of the Mag 7. So are you worried about the so-called big crash in all markets? I think we've already had a large crash in crypto and software. So I think it's getting to an unsustainable point now where we're going to have some form of a comeback rally. And I wouldn't underestimate how big the comeback rally could be. It could be very big. Yeah, so hit the likes up on the stream, guys. I'm going to wrap up the stream here. I'm glad that we managed to fix the audio issue. It seems like it's worked pretty well, this new stream setup. So I'll watch it back and just see how it goes. Or how it went. And yeah, I'll see you guys on the next live stream. Definitely join up the VIP group if you're not in there already for daily live streams, or voice chats rather, not live streams. Voice chats, daily voice chats, daily messaging, and you'll be able to get any of my real-time buy or sell alerts. And yeah, appreciate everyone watching. Hopefully I can end the stream here, okay? Because this is the